Okay, so Sweden have just lost to Spain 1-0 in the Nations League semi-finals, second leg. These are just going to be my quick thoughts of the match after the game. Um, Honestly, pretty good performance. Much better performance than last week. I'll get into it, but I think um, there's a part of me that it's a bit of a shame that we couldn't hold on to get that kind of a draw. Or I honestly think we could have definitely got a goal there. I don't think Spain were particularly impressive at all in comparison to last week. But I think I think that one of the big decisions that I'm going to get into was actually the lineup. So Tony putting in Schroeder, Yusubar, Nelhager, Holmberg. A lot of these players came in, and he did speak about playing more youngsters, but I didn't necessarily expect it to that extent. But um, it was really good to see and quite fun to see, you know. So yeah, but I was really impressed by a lot of the players and a lot of the team. I thought we looked much more controlled. I don't. I think I think Spain didn't manage to get the control in the midfield that they had in the last game. I thought we looked much more compact. Um, we kind of played an interesting. I think we did press high at times, but to a much less of an extent than in Spain on Friday night. Today we still had quite a high line, but where Schroeder and Eslani were, we were much deeper. We sat off Spain and let them have the ball, but like I said, in this really compact shape that wasn't on the edge of our box, but it was interesting. It was an interesting approach because also the wingers were sometimes almost looked like like one of them was kind of one of them was fitting in as like a wing back kind of. It was um like I said, it was a bit more of a controlled, and I felt like we kind of controlled the game. I don't think Spain really had many opportunities in this game, like really. Um, Falk didn't really have much to do. Goalkeeper saves none, so she didn't make a single save. Obviously, there was one shot on target then, but she, it felt like in this game, and of course Spain maybe there was less pressure on them. They already knew they were through. It was never really about who would get through. But I thought we really met them. We met the challenge of Spain much better in this game and were much more competitive, which was massively lacking in the last game. As I said, um, I don't think would I say Sweden deserved to win? No, I would I would say it would be more of a um, to be honest, it probably deserved to be a bit of a nil-nil. I don't think anyone really pushed that much on chances. We had a few more shots, one big chance, according to SofaScore here. They did have a lot more of the ball, but like I said, we let them have it, but we also looked quite comfortable. It is a massively different defensive setup than Gerhardsson. Like, I didn't expect we'd see this much change, really. Um, but it's a very different, and the way the attack goes as well, it's much more fluid than I think. There was much more rigid areas to the way Gerhardsson would attack, just from what we've seen in these past two games, and especially today. And I thought today what we were really good at was the counterattacks, and Tony spoke a lot about in the press conference when he announced the squad about pace and how he wanted pace against Spain, and we didn't see that in the first game apart from maybe from Canarid. But the point is, he mentioned that when he mentioned Yusubar and Holmberg, and today he put those players in, and I thought we looked much better because we did break with speed a lot of the time, and we just had a few moments where there was a bit of spark about us, and I thought Aslani did quite well with against surrounded by a bit of an inexperienced attack. I thought she looked much more. She managed to get into positions where she drove with the ball a bit better, a few passes off. I just thought she looked a bit more herself today um, than on Friday. But I'd also still stand by the point I made in my last video about I don't think this system suits Aslani as well. The role she's playing is not as suited as the kind of the 10 she played under Gerhardsson. Canarid had some really nice moments, and when she put in that cross for Stina, which could have been a penalty in the second half. Yusu Bar was really impressive. I mean, she wasn't like amazing, but she had some really nice moments where she she had a nice flick around the corner. She had a nice dribble. She just has that X factor. She has that spark. She has that pace that we don't have from another left wing. Fridolina Rolf has loads of extremely good qualities, but I wouldn't say she's not going to be bursting past players. And Yusubar, I thought, really provided that in really well. Holmberg as well on the other side, really. I mean, nothing too outstanding from her today, but again, it was more her pace seemed to cause Spain more problems, and her runs, and she's really aggressive with how high she wants to get up the pitch. But when I saw the team announced with Hannah Lundqvist in it at midfield, I was surprised because of course she's a right back, and that's pretty much where she plays. She has played midfield before. Recently, I say recently, I mean more like sometime after the World Cup in 2023. I think it was against like Italy or Switzerland in that Nations League. I'll check after this, but it was one of those games. But that's still quite out of the blue. I mean, of those two deeper midfield slots, I've said before how we're kind of short in them. But you know what? She did pretty well. I was pretty happy with how she performed, and then she moved to left back in the second half. I don't really know why Sandberg was taken off. I don't know whether that was just experiment to see Lundqvist there and to get Angeldal on, or whether that was more Angeldal, who had a really good effort on goal, or whether that was an injury to Sandberg. I don't know. That was a bit surprising, but she did quite well at left back as well. So she proved her versatility today, Hannah Lundqvist. Zikosiyome also played really well with, again, it's those duels she wins. She's just all over the pitch, and she has a bit more freedom in this team than she did with Gerhardsson, where she would press high, but she'd also, on the ball, she's allowed a bit more freedom, whereas in Gerhardsson she was very much more anchored to the base of the midfield. But yeah, I also I'll get back to a bit of the match, but when I'm going through the players, Nell Hager had a really good game as well. Just looked really assured for her debut. Really impressive. I think on the way we played today, I think Ilestedt would have actually been much better. I mean, Ilestedt did have a bit of a shocker on Friday, but I actually think the way we played today was, I felt like we were a bit more compact. We didn't sit especially deep. Like I said, we kind of sat on like halfway of the pitch almost, but very compact. Like I said, with the midfield and the strikers were all quite close in, but I think she didn't have to. I think Ilestedt was more exposed in certain areas because Spain got a bit more space in the midfield and managed to expose her. And I think we also didn't have moments where we were so high on the pitch and it was just Nell Hager and just Pina. Like we didn't have any moments where she was caught one-on-one with anyone. So I think the overall setup helped her not look at all out of place, but she also played really. She just looked really solid, and being a left footer as well really helps. I think it always is quite a nice thing. Obviously, we usually have that with Magda, but yeah, really solid debut, and that's probably put her in a solid position in the pecking line. But yeah, I'm trying to think. I'll go on to the subs. I'm just trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to say about the match, because, like I said, I thought it was a much more competitive game. I think it was a shame we couldn't get it over the line as a draw. I think that would have been a good way to end the first camp. That we had a poor game, but we bounced back. But I think Tony will be. I've not read any of his quotes from after the match yet, but I think he'll be pretty happy with the way such a young team looked really up for it. And I thought we just played much more like a team. There's still a lot of teething problems, a lot of raw areas there in the team, and the tactics are kind of new. But I'm a bit more hopeful of the way we played, that there can be a lot more going forward. I do think one thing though. I do think we slightly slowed down after we brought on the subs. I don't think it was a bad idea. I thought it was actually quite a good idea bringing on Rolfer and Stina, as suddenly it felt like, wow, we're in this game, and then we can bring off quality players like that. But I don't think they really had. I don't think they really had the impact or added the pace into the game that we kind of needed. But actually, one of the best chances was Evelyn EJ when I think it was the Angeldal shot, and I mean, I was quite surprised that Katakol spilt it right in front of her, and it was tough. But I feel like maybe she could have done a bit better. I think she wasn't expecting Katakoi to drop the ball, but that was a pretty good chance as well. I think there's a lot more to take from this game, positives wise, and great to see some of the young players play really well. And I think there's enough to build on into a next game. And you've got to remember, it was against a very good Spain side again. They put out a very strong team. So I think we should be. I'm pretty proud of the players. For they went, like I said, it felt like a competitive game. Whereas in that first game, we were really run over. So it'll be interesting to see how we do in the bronze match. I haven't actually checked who we're going to be playing, and future friendlies with Gustafsson. I just realised there's a spelling error here on SofaScore. But thank you. If this is stuff you're interested in, then please subscribe. Give me your thoughts below on the game, and like the video because it helps. But thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you at some point soon. Because I won't wait until the next international break. Hopefully I'll make a few videos. I don't know whether I'll do a deep dive into this or just maybe give my overall thoughts on the window as a whole. But yeah, thank you.